What's going on, guys? Hey, it's Anthony. It's a little chilly today, but we're going to dive into Rode's new firmware update on the Rodecaster Pro, so stay tuned. We are talking about the Rodecaster Pro today. So they dropped the new software, the 1.1, with the multi-channel ability. And I just wanted to talk about this semi-briefly and kind of go over some of the new options. So I'm using it right now. It's recording everything. And some of those options include, I'll show you here the best I can while I'm live. Let's see, there we go. So now you can go to each individual channel, select it, and it gives you all of these new options, which is, you know, you got your microphone settings, the type of voice. Are you soft, deep, or medium? The levels, and then under your advanced tab, that's once again all of the processing that the mixer does itself. Now, if you go to, let me go out, again, each individual channel, and they light up as you make changes to them, which is a nice feature. It makes it a little bit easier for you if that was a concern. And then they added, let me go to the advanced setting. Now you have right here on advanced, I know it'll be difficult to see, but on the top one there, it is multi-channel recording USB. You can select it, deselect it, which ultimately means it's supposed to transmit multi-channel up to 14. And you also have bypass audio processing, and then USB channel enable mix minus. So if you're going to be streaming or doing anything of that sort. So a couple of things to note is the way that the channels on this are broken up. This is not channel 1. This is actually channel 3. And they break this down. Rode did actually a pretty good video explaining this, because channel 1 and 2 are the outputs on the back right there, your 1/4 inch outputs. And then this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it goes on through the whole list. Now, the point of this video more or less was I was super excited and still am about the multi-channel recording, simply because I think as we relaunch into a podcast that I'm a part of, which is Culture Jacked. I'll put a link to that down below. But as I go through that, a lot of our recordings are going to be done remotely, which means I'm going to be hosting it, and then my co-host will be calling in, and I'm going to go over that whole how we're going to set that up once we do it, and I'll be able to explain that to you guys as well. But so I set this up, or downloaded the firmware, was super stoked. I'm like, yes, let's launch into this thing. Loaded it on to the Rodecaster, super simple process, got it all up. Once you hit that USB, you will have to unplug it from your computer, and then it should work. So I loaded up Adobe Audition, which is what I use, and I spent probably 2 hours, 3 hours doing that, because you have to use the Windows, the WASP setup on it. And it kept saying not working, so forth and so on. Anyway, so I spent quite a bit of time attempting to do that, and I got it to work, even though it says it wasn't working. I was reading, I was playing music more or less from my cell phone while recording audio through the microphone, and it was working, even though it said it wasn't. It was picking up both channels perfectly fine after setting it up. The problem came in where my studio monitors weren't playing appropriately. I got it to play back the audio, and the audio had a large amount of frequency issues or frequency distortion. I know that after watching the Rode videos, a bunch of the comments below said the same thing. So ultimately it did work, but it didn't work. So I'm still waiting to see if Adobe has to do something or if Rode has to do something. I don't think there's been any clear resolution on how to fix this issue. I know a lot of people said it doesn't work. In fact, I did get it to work. It was streaming through Adobe Audition. but it had a large audio issue with it because the audio and the sound sounded fine, but there was some kind of frequency issue within the system. And then I switched over to the standard MME, where I record just a solo one channel stereo track, which is essentially mixing all of the audio through the mixing board, and that worked fine. I did that numerous times and it worked perfectly fine, and then switched over, didn't work. Switch back, worked. With and without that frequency issue or distortion issue. So what does that mean? Well, to me, what that means is, you know, Rode or Adobe or whatever is causing that needs to fix it, obviously. So hopefully that'll come in. And another thing with this update, in which was kind of goofy to me because I tried it not knowing they didn't do it, more or less was why they didn't add multi-track recording to the micro SD card. That's kind of ridiculous too. I think that they should have just added that. You know, do a file with whatever active channels are on it and then slot it all out, and then maybe have a stereo mix on top of it. Something like that would be incredible, and I would assume at this point fairly simple to do with this setup. Outside of that, though, I have been using the Procaster for videos. If you guys have been watching me on our new Tuesday drops, and then obviously this video and a couple of my other videos, this thing does a really good job. Audio sounds fantastic. I haven't had any issues with that at all. So I am excited to see, as firmware, and if it's Adobe or if it's Rode, fixes these issues, because A, we're going to be using this for our podcast, which has already been going well audio wise. And I'd love to see this thing get that last update or last firmware fix, so we can utilize this for our podcast as well. But for video, I think the audio is incredible. It does a very good job, and all as well. So we will continue doing some Procaster updates. I do have some things I'm going to show you guys, at least that I've tested and am using. Once I put it to more use, I'll be able to then confirm or better explain some of the things that I've done with it that I haven't seen anybody else talk about. So I think that's pretty cool, and more to come on that. If you guys have not subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because we're going to be going over all kinds of tech gear and a lot more here at the Wrench-Out Experiment. I thank you guys for tuning in, and see you guys in the next video.